Chapter 16. Mansion of all mansions. Closing my mouth proved to be a tremendous effort as Ganymede arched one perfect brow and began ushering us gently up the gleaming marble staircase. From what I could tell, the staircase looked like it led up into heaven, disappearing into giant fluffy clouds and looking eerily similar to Olympus hanging over the Empire State Building. My shoulder brushed Annabeth's every time we took a step, which made me feel a little braver about our situation. So far, we'd met two weird naked twins, a fish-tailed goat monster, and a goddess with a fondness for weighted scales. I could only wonder which side Ganymede was on, and what that would mean for us. I knew he and Zeus used to have a thing back in the day, but I wasn't sure if he'd turned bitter against the gods like Japan or not. "Where does this lead?" Annabeth asked, her voice ringing through the crisp, clean air. It was only then that I realized it was the first time since we'd been launched up here that the mist wasn't hanging like a shroud over us. "To my home, of course," Ganymede said, as we finally broke through the clouds at the top of the steps and saw a humongous mansion, gleaming like it had been polished every day for the past 1,000 years. "Oh my gods," I heard Annabeth whisper hoarsely beside me. I just knew her architect brain was going a mile a minute. Ganymede chuckled at Annabeth's reaction. "Yes, Zeus was never one for subtlety," he said with a smirk. "I just wanted something simple, and he decided to lavish me." Ganymede didn't seem too upset about Zeus's overcompensation as he eyed the mansion with a humorous look in his eye. He reminded me of Rachel a bit, though I would never in a million years tell her that. The mansion towered over us, reminding me of Zeus's throne on Olympus. Ganymede caught my eyes and nodded, his own eyes sparkling with humor. "Hera was very jealous of me," Ganymede began. "So this was Zeus's compromise. Hera could tell his comings and goings in her realm, could keep him under her microscope. I spent years in the stars, but I could retire here for his visits. Would you like to hear more?" I glanced over at Annabeth, who was ogling the marble statue of Zeus, and turned my attention back to the mansion. Ganymede opened the double doors and ushered us through, our footsteps echoing off the gleaming floors. I felt extremely dirty suddenly, remembering my singed hair, bloody ears, and torn clothes. I told myself not to touch anything, but my ADHD had me wanting to pick up everything within reach as we walked through the entryway and into the giant living room. I was twitching toward the huge, fluffy red pillows on the couch that looked like they were made from Aphrodite's favorite furs, when an item in the center of the room grabbed my attention. "Beware, Jackson," Ganymede's angelic voice boomed from behind me. I suddenly realized I was hovering over a goblet, centered on an ornate pedestal in the middle of the room. It was surrounded by luxurious items that even Rachel's dad would probably balk at, but the goblet was what stole all of my overactive attention. There wasn't anything insanely special about it, but I knew deep down it was important, and I could feel it in my heart as I stared at the cracked carvings etched into the side, all but faded by history. "This is the cup of the gods," Ganymede stated flatly, a strange edge to his voice. Annabeth nodded knowingly to him, and I felt a little frustrated that I was missing out on some secret ancient history lesson yet again. It wasn't my fault I always had to be away from camp on some urgent quest. The gods were seriously messing up my education. "It's pretty cool," I said, trying to cut some of the tension in the room. Ganymede chuckled, his bad mood dissipating as quickly as it came. I internally breathed a sigh of relief that I wouldn't have to fight him. "Percy, it's not cool," Annabeth said, moving closer in order to elbow me in the side. Ganymede smiled this time. "In my time, Perseus, I knew I was handsome. I knew women fawned over me, and men adored me. It came as naturally to me to attract others as it was to breathe. I never asked for this life, this role, but it has come to be all the same. It was my fate." Ganymede paused, thinking for a moment before he continued. "I was a Trojan prince, and lived in the palace of Dardania.
My father, Tros, was a great king, so great that they named Troy after his name. One day I was tending to my father's sheep, and from the sky an eagle stole me. I woke to immortality on Olympus, and Zeus himself decreed me a cupbearer of the gods. This upset Hebe, of course, and also Hera, but Zeus was bound by his affection with me. At first I saw this as a curse, though over time I realized the affection of Zeus is a powerful tool. Ganymede smirked, his angelic features becoming more sarcastic as he continued. My father was distraught over my disappearance, of course, but Zeus ensured his happiness and wealth by supplying him with many gifts. Hermes himself told my father of my new position in Olympus, and of my own gift of immortality. With my family happy, and my own position secure, I continued to do the gods' bidding. Unlike Japan, I chose to accept my fate, and became the cupbearer of the gods. I fed them nectar and ambrosia, listened to their silly secrets, watched them make their godly mistakes, and enjoyed the love Zeus's gifts have shown me. Ganymede finished, becoming very still as he gazed again at the cup shining on the pedestal.
But then, why are you up here? Annabeth asked quietly, but I could hear the curiosity burning in her voice.
When Hera grew tired of my presence on Olympus, Zeus sensed that she would soon plot against me. He set up a sanctuary for me here that allows me to come and go. I represent what you know as the constellation Aquarius, though I am not shackled in the stars like most others. This mansion was built by one of his lightning strikes, which is why the marble gleams so brightly, even in the dark of night.
Ganymede grinned at us. But it's not even night, I said, realizing it hadn't seemed like the days were passing at all up here.
That is Aether's doing. I assure you it is night, Perseus. Aether has shrouded this place in mist, clouding truth and vision.
I must have showed my, thoughts on my face, because Annabeth jumped in right there, as if we were in a history lesson with Chiron, rather than a place where constellations were walking and talking to us. Aether is the primeval god of the shining light of the blue sky. He is the substance of light, a layer of bright mist which lays between the dome of heaven and the lower air that surrounds Earth, Annabeth said, sounding as if it were wrote by memory.
Hera must not be too happy then, I said, surprising Ganymede. I dare say not, Perseus. Ganymede laughed. It seems Aether's mist is preventing Hera from accessing her realm, or else the goddess would have already stormed up to heaven and demanded his defeat. I wonder why she didn't mention all this when we had that polite little chat back at camp, I said, the annoyance coming out in my voice.
She probably didn't want to seem weak, Annabeth said, holding in a smile. Ganymede grinned devilishly at her. I was getting the feeling he really didn't like Hera. Suddenly, I felt a little woozy, and looked at Annabeth for comfort. She met my eyes and voiced what I was feeling. It's been a while since we've eaten and had some rest, Annabeth said to Ganymede. God, I love her. Of course. Mortal stamina is so much lower than I remember, Ganymede said, which I was about to make a sarcastic retort for when he continued saying, Since you are my guests, I have arranged for the masters to attend to you. Ganymede sauntered off down the hallway, leading us to an enormous and, you guessed it, gleaming white kitchen. Movement to the left caught my eyes, and I turned to see the Dioscuri, setting up what looked like an amazing buffet on Ganymede's huge dining room table. I mean, who really needs 16 place settings for their dining room table? Perseus! Castor said. Annabeth! Polydeuces added. We've been waiting so long for you two, they finished together, only adding to my confusion.